And it was funny, the Lord's brought this to my mind recently because I had pretty much just hadn't thought much about it since then. But that must be their plans, folks. They're planning. They're gonna destroy Congress so that the dictator doesn't have to worry about having to answer to elected officials. And it's not like they're doing anything for us anyway. That's what the real joke is. Who's the real joke on? It's not like we have a Congress that's actually working for the people, of the people, and by the people to begin with. So it'll be interesting to see if this is the year. Look out for the months of May and July. If they're going to blow up Congress. Those 2 months are always dominant for any type of terrorism here on American soil. Alien invasions, July is huge. And their picture of an invasion, first contact, is a lot different than what the Bible portrays in Joel chapter 2 and Revelation chapter 9. And I've always said their invasions are going to be hostile. They're not these friendly, this Casper and the Casper ghosts in the sky wanting to help mankind. That's just their lie to get invited here to get their foot on the earth. And once they do, everything's over. Everything that's prophesied in the Bible is definitely going to happen at that time. Right now it's not a question of if those things are going to happen that are mentioned in the Bible. It's when. It's when are they going to happen? And naturally, everybody always wants to be later because nobody's prepared for now. And, of course, the Lord has been warning His people the last couple of years to prepare for hard times coming. I'll get on to the next question. I think they will probably nuke Congress. They have already started the drumbeat, as you know. Today on my NPR radio, they announced they'll be having some ex-military guy to tell us that it really is easy to make a nuke. Nazi propaganda radio. NPR, National Public Radio, should actually stand for Nazi propaganda radio. Yeah, I think so too. So a nuke is so easy, anybody can do it. They just get some uranium. That music, very reptilian, E.T. Cool music, it's like music class last when I see is very reptilian, E.T. Ew, I don't think so. It's just that techno stuff. I don't mind techno. Quick question for the show. Do you even bother to vote? No. Isn't it pointless? Yes. No, I don't bother to vote. I'm not going to vote for two evils. And so if there was an option, voting between two evils, I would vote. But since there isn't, I don't vote. I mean, the only choice we ever have is evil and evil. Now, if Ron Paul votes, I would vote for him if he runs, if he makes it alive till 2008. As a candidate, I would vote for Ron Paul. I wouldn't vote for anybody else. I don't see anywhere where it's going to make a difference. I think we have lost any kind of control that we can have over this Congress. And people are busy fighting it. It's going to come to pass. It's going to happen. I mean, I don't want to sound like there's no hope left, and maybe that's the fight the Lord has you in. Because He leads everybody else in different directions, into their own areas where they need to be fighting and putting their energy. But I just don't see. They've already taken control of our government, and now it's just leading the sheeple along. And now that they have death camps ready to go, soldiers, they've been moving in equipment for the last, I think since 1991, they have been moving in foreign equipment and weapons. And soldiers have been in and out of this country, foreign soldiers. And so they're fully prepared to start martial law whenever they decide to put their finger on the button. I mean, right now, the last time the aliens were threatening to do something drastic to take over our government, they brought down the WTC towers. And so now they're threatening again because they're mad they won't leave Leo Wanda, let him take his money. And so they could do something to forestall this alien first contact, like a huge earthquake in Washington, D.C., or under 4 major cities. Or I think it would be better for them, more sneaky, to use a weather weapon than just outright have an accidental Russian nuclear bombing 4 of our cities. And they've been targeting South Carolina for ages. They really want this Charleston, South Carolina, because every time they they start to head that way. We just blast it out of the water, and so they haven't been able to nuke it yet. For some reason, they really want to get rid of Charleston, South Carolina. And some of these other, Houston's another one. I've been looking for 101 ways to destroy Houston. The last 2 Easters in a row, they had plans to nuke it. It never came out. Never worked for them. The bomb wouldn't go off or something this last one. They had plans to nuke Miami. And that was blown out of the water. And so they have to strike at places no one's expecting them, because every time they plan something for too long, everybody else gets onto it, and then they have to switch their tactics. These weather weapons can come out of nowhere. I mean, just look at Kansas. They can whirl up a tornado in just a couple of hours and hit anybody they want. And so that's a very effective weapon of theirs, these tornadoes and the hurricanes. Took out New Orleans. I still think that was a Russian hit with their weather weapon, because President Bush had slipped up. It was Rumsfeld had slipped up and called it Katrina, and that is a Russian name. And so I think that was a huge slip. I think the Russians had something to do with taking out New Orleans. I think it was a threat against our government for Iraq. Something going on there. Didn't really dig into that one, but I just felt when it hit that was a Russian hit. And so I'm sure the aliens... Oh, you know what? And I was talking last week. I spent a lot of time talking about how aliens are eating us and using us as food. And I remember getting an email after Katrina or Katerina. Rumsfeld had called her Katerina, the Russian name for Katrina. Anyway, how they had seen some kind of reptile being in the water eating a human being. And that's how they do it, folks. These catastrophes, these disasters. How many bodies have yet to really surface out of the ones that died? Does anybody really know? And has anybody still heard from any of these people that were hauled off in these FEMA trains, going to these FEMA camps? Over 2,000 adults taken off on buses, separated from their children, never to be heard from again. It was about the same time you started hearing from California about an odd odor, a wicked odor out that way. Yeah, can you say bodies burning from underground bases? Because that's where they're going to be doing most of the death camp killing, is underground, and these underground bases the government's been building all of these years. You know about the huge one in Denver, Colorado, the huge one in Alaska, there's one in Washington, and they're all over the place. They even have one above ground at the Amtrak facility just outside Indianapolis. That's the only above ground one I've ever heard of. Most of the others are underground or inside mountain bases. But somehow, that air, the smoke of the furnaces still has to hit the air. And I think that's what they were smelling out there in California. Everybody was talking about that foul odor at that time that they kept smelling in the air. Another question, how many death toll lies? World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq? Well, the rule of thumb is to only report 10% of actual deaths. I think it's only 10%. And so only 10 out of every 100 people are going to be reported dead. So, yeah, of course they lie. If you read the paper, 4 soldiers were killed and 8 injured. Well, that actually means about 40 were killed, 80 were injured, or 400 were killed. And you know what? They just never tell you the truth. Hiding the numbers, it's what they've always done in war times. Who controls Muslims? No Pope, but Muslims fight each other. Well, the Vatican created the Muslims. Chick Publications has a great website on the creation of Islam. So Google Chick Publications and check out their website on Islam. And it tells you how the Vatican had created Islam. U.S. stays in Iraq to watch many Muslims die. And you know what? I think the biggest thing going on with Iraq right now is that there's a bunch of serpent seed liner Zionist Israelis, Jewish Israelis over there killing everybody, the snipers. I believe those are the Israelis because they want America to die. Because if we're dying in Iraq, we're going to send more and more of our troops over there and have a presence over there. And that was their whole thing. They want America